Hi students, this video is going to walk you through the process of finding secondary sources for your proposal and for your annotated bibliography. So many of you already are familiar with how to find secondary sources, but I wanted to make a video for those of you who may not have had the opportunity to do this before, or maybe it's been a really long time since English 102 and you've forgotten how. So the first thing we need to do is make sure you understand what a secondary source is. And in most cases, and in the case of our proposal, it means finding information from third-party sources. So if a primary source is research that you do yourself firsthand, secondary sources come from other people. So research reports, websites, magazine articles, things like that. Okay, so things that have been explained by other people. So that's what a secondary source is. And I'm going to show you two places that I would go to find secondary sources for this specific project. The first place I would go is just regular old Google. There is nothing wrong with trying to find research from the business world on Google searches, okay? So what you're going to think about is you're not just going to want anything out there from like BuzzFeed or Wikipedia or someone's blog, okay? Those are not going to be scholarly sources. But there are sources out there online that are going to be credible. Things like trade journals. So Forbes is a business trade journal. So if I searched, okay, fine, it's going to take me up there. Forbes and Instagram. I want to know what Forbes has to say about Instagram. So here's something from November 16th, 2016. Sounds really, really good. This is something that I could definitely use in my proposal. Okay, it talks about why you should use Instagram for your business. Okay, it's short and sweet, but offers some interesting ideas and specifics. What's nice about these kinds of articles is they have hyperlinks that you can go to something else and see that link there. Okay, so Forbes is a good example of a trade journal. If you're not sure what a trade magazine is or a trade journal is, you could type in beautiful. Okay, so then you could just pick a trade journal and do a specific search in those. So we obviously don't want interior design, but let's see what looks good. What looks good? Business Insider is another one. I forgot about that one. So you could type in this could be something about privacy settings. I don't know that that would work for the proposal. Aha. Okay, so sometimes it takes a little bit of playing with your keywords to find what you need. That looks great. Now it is a little bit older. I mean, even 2 years old. This one is from last year, which could be good. Alright, so now let's talk keywords, because you notice that I used some ands to link my search terms together. I've been doing research for a really long time, so sometimes it's tough to watch me do search terms because it's like, oh, that was so magical. She typed in something and the first thing that pops up is exactly what she wants. That takes a lot of practice and doing research to know which search terms are going to work and what order and how to put them together. So let's talk about these ands right here. What I'm doing is using what's called Boolean logic or Boolean search terms. You can type in the words and, or, not, or use parentheses to type in your search terms. So when you use or, you're going to get more hits. Okay, so if I typed in, for example, fruit or vegetables, I'm going to get anything on both of these topics. Or if I put in fruit or vegetables or grains or cereals, I would get everything. Basically, that would be like all food. Okay, or is going to give you more. So I'll show you this. Well, let's look at this for a second. Darn it, I want that to go away. Alright, so you can see how many results we've got here. We've got 10.3 million. So I'm going to change these to ors and see what happens. Huh. Well, that, in theory, that should give me more. So that didn't work. That's the joy of live videos here. But basically, what I'm searching is anything about Business Insider, or anything about Facebook, or anything about marketing. Okay, so obviously it's not giving me all of those hits because that would be gigantic. But technically, you should get more results if you use ors. So if I put in social media or business instead of social media and business, it's going to be huge. Okay, because this is giving me anything about business and anything about social media, whereas this search result is only going to give me articles that talk about both of them together. Okay, so that's the idea with Boolean operators. So here you can see that you're narrowing when you use and. You're only going to get resources that deal with both of those words at the same time. So, and then if you type in 3, ideally you're narrowing your search to just where all 3 of those things overlap. Okay? If you want something but not something else, that's what you can do here. So I could do social media and business, not Facebook. I want anything but Facebook. You can see that that significantly narrows everything else. It says I shouldn't need to capitalize it, but I feel like my Boolean operators aren't working with Google very well. In theory, this is the logic that you use for doing your search terms. You can also use parentheses. So foxes or rabbits and pest control means that you have anything about foxes and rabbits and then also just a little bit about pest control in regards to foxes or rabbits, if that makes sense. Okay, and you can kind of see what that would look like if you didn't have the parentheses. Okay, so that's what I do to search on regular old Google. Something else I would definitely do is check out advanced search tools. Try things in the past week, in the past month, in the past year. Sort it by date. Okay, things like that. There's another trade journal that popped up right here. So you want to focus on things that come from reputable sources like trade journals or other academic or business sources. Like I said, you don't want to just find some random person's blog. You want to find things that are going to be a little bit more scholarly or a little bit more respected. The other place that I like to go for things like academic journals is going to Google Scholar through the ASU Library website. I do not use Google Scholar just like this. I do not use it like this because if I search for something, okay, Some of them do give me what I want on the side here, but you can see that I don't have all of these. Like, let's say I really wanted this. There's no place for me to get it. So I do not use Google Scholar like that. I only use Google Scholar when I am signed in through the ASU library. So you can see, okay, there's my name. Now it knows it's me. It knows that I'm a student or faculty here at ASU. So that gets me the subscription to all of the journal articles I could ever want. So now I'm in Google Scholar. I'm going to type in best practices. And business and social media. Actually, I'm going to put best practices, social media, and business. Okay, now see all these things where it says get at ASU. Those are things that I may not be able to get unless I was paying tuition to ASU, because ASU library, part of what your tuition pays for is access to these journals. Okay, now this says social media in the ecosystem. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe understanding building blocks, that could be good. Recruitment, that's not really what we're doing, so maybe I need to use some better search terms or get more recent. See how you can change your dates here? Maybe I need to put in, maybe I take out best practices and put in social media and marketing. Okay, how it can help customer satisfaction, that could be good. Alright, so these are all things that I can kind of look through. Social media strategies for enhancing brand awareness, that could be good. Okay, so sometimes you kind of have to scroll through a little bit. Generated content on social media and customer behavior, and then you just click on these on the side. And you look for something that says full text. And here is my journal article. Now some of these are very long. This one, yeah, 41 pages. Okay, you don't have time to read that. So what can be especially helpful is the beginning sections, the abstract, the introduction, okay, you can go down here to the, this is all the appendix, so I went too far here. You could look in the discussion section, can often be very helpful. Let me find it. Here we go, discussion section. So you can see that if you're reading the discussion, the introduction, and the abstract, that's really only, you know, 4 or 5 pages. Because unless you're a statistician, like my husband, these sort of things, these p-values, all of these models, don't make sense. Honestly, I could probably get my husband over here and he would know what all this means. But that's not something you need to know, that's not something I know, and we can follow the discussion of the results in that discussion section. We don't have to read through all the appendices. So those are my 2 strategies for finding sources. Secondary sources is the Google Scholar through the ASU library, where they know it's you and they can see that you are signed in. See? Google Scholar right here, or just regular Google searches for trade journals and things like that. If you're still having trouble, you can click Ask a Librarian, and you can go in and either in person chat with a subject librarian, or you can chat online. We do have subject librarians, and you could find a librarian who specializes in social media, in business, things like that. There's also search tutorials and other things that you can check out on the library webpage. But if you get stuck, you can always ask a librarian or ask me. So good luck, and I hope you find a lot of great sources out there.